Articuno.
Zapdos.
Moltres.
Wait, I already screwed up the Pokemon rap, didn't I?
Yeah, but welcome to Deep Space and Dragons. I'm Richard, someone who knows the Poke Rap.
I am Carl, someone who doesn't actually know the Poke rap.
And welcome to Deep Space and Dragons. Variety Fun Hour. Yeah. It is neither an hour nor a variety, and sometimes it is not fun. I'm your host.
Yeah. I am your other host, but before we start, getting into our mysterious subject of the day, what's that subject? Let's start with what's new with you, Richard?
So, I have no idea when you'll watch this episode of my podcast. However, my new kids book I made in part with AG Not Such, and by made in part I mean was allowed to help, is freely available on Twitter. So, that's a thing. And other than writing a kid's book with someone amazingly talented and it coming out beautiful, and it's free, so I'm not even being a shill here. You can just download it. I get nothing but satisfaction, which I can understand with the antagonist nature of me as a person. Why giving me satisfaction may not be appealing, but you'd also give amazing artists satisfaction.
Okay, so was there another person credited on the author line? I thought I saw another person.
Their wife made it on there, and then we had his third-party editor.
Yeah, okay.
So,
that makes sense.
It was a 3-person team. But before we, I shamelessly shill my writing, which, I mean, technically was the point of this podcast, cough, cough. Let's see. Other news is, so I've been doing a lot of, testing of various tabletop RPGs because they foolishly gave me a Dungeons & Dragons club.
Yeah, very foolish.
And we decided to try and make it a one-page RPG, because one-page RPGs are fun.
Wait,
So
Cobalt and Credit is your one-page RPG?
Yeah, we made that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which, I mean, is already a success if you didn't know I made it. That's already, 1 point for me.
Well, I wasn't certain. It definitely, you seem to have a decent graphic design team.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, all right.
It turns out it was me all along. But yeah, so playtesting, coming up with a one-page RPG, working on my writing endeavors, scheduling room escapes. Honestly, summer's been great. Yeah, we're gonna do a Death Note themed work room escape.
A Death Note themed room escape.
Yeah, it was look at this room escape place is near our location. This one's Death Note themed, and my entire office yeah, let's do that one. That sounds awesome. So
that does sound awesome.
So I mean, if I work with cool enough people that a Death Note themed room escape is a cool idea, life's going pretty good. I mean, it'd be nice if I had food.
I wonder what makes a Death Note themed. Are they going to have a clue on a bag of potato chips?
I mean, I hope it's just full of memes. I want a camera and a bag of potato chips we have to hack. I want the objective of the room escape to literally find where the Death Note is hidden in this room. It's just Light's room full of traps and trickery. That could just be awesome.
That does sound pretty awesome.
I mean, they didn't have any other anime-themed ones, but the fact they had an anime-themed one at all, perfect. Makes me happy. And what is new in the Karl-verse? Because apparently the Richard-verse is just kind of slaps right now.
A while back, I got a super cheap phone from Cosco.
Is that the one? Pause. I want to go on record that if this is the phone I'm thinking of, it is bulletproof to the best of my knowledge and has 10 days shelf life, charge battery life. Or am I thinking of a different phone?
No. That phone was actually surprisingly expensive for how mediocre it was in terms of the internal hardware.
Yeah, you built a phone that was for Marines, but please continue.
No, the phone that I got is the Motorola G Play, the 2021 edition. Which they've made newer phones since, and I assume they're slightly better. But it was $200 Canadian taxes in at Costco, so it was dirt cheap.
Unrelated side note, so they're opening a Costco near one of my friend's house, and there's plans I heard about that Costco's considering putting housing rentals on top of their buildings.
Huh.
And I'm just thinking to myself, would I live on top of a Costco? Yes. Yes, I would. That's just amazing. It solves the housing crisis and gives more people access to Costco? Like, 10 out of 10.
That would be amazing.
Like, if the government were to pay new Costcos to come up so they could put housing on top of it, that's the kind of deal with the devil I'm willing to make.
So I get this new phone, and the first one, out of the box, it was like separating. If the phone worked, but it was separating, so I took it back to Costco, and I got it replaced.
They forgot to glue your phone together?
I guess so, I don't know. I mean, it was super cheap, so I'm not that surprised. The second phone, I immediately dropped out of my vehicle, and the screen smashed.
Pause.
So I
need to know something. I know I keep interrupting your fantastic story, but for my own edification, because I know you, and I know the doors on your vehicle come off. Were there doors on your vehicle when this phone fell out? Because do I get that vindication?
Yes, there were doors on my vehicle when the phone fell out. That is actually why it fell out. It was because I had to open the door so the phone wasn't sitting somewhere secure.
Oh, no. You cannot gaslight me into telling me that cars with doors are therefore more likely to have phones fall out of them. Nice try. Not today, my nemesis.
but so I go back to Costco, and I'm like, yeah, the phone is smashed. And they're like, oh, it was smashed in the box? I was like, no, I dropped it. They're like, okay, well...
Haha, you have chaotic good alignment.
We'll replace it for you, but only you have to take this Costco gift card for the exact value of the phone. I was like, well, yeah, I'll just go buy another one. So I exchanged that one, too, even though that was totally my fault.
Nice. So, I was originally thinking as a joke that Costco phones came in a 10-pack. However, if it was in fact a 10-pack of phones, you'd be on to phone number 7. So maybe it should be a 10-pack of Costco phones for like $60.
That would be amazing. But no, so then my girlfriend got me a case for my phone, and it was good. But as a $200 phone, less than 6 months after purchase, it was slowing down so much that the UI would occasionally just freeze and hang, and then I'd be like, system UI is not responding. Do you want to wait for it to respond? It's like, yes, I do. I want it to actually like work. But so then the other day, I was sitting outside and I looking something up. I was looking up package trips to Italy because me and my girlfriend want to go to Italy next year.
Oh, random side note. I'm going to ask you live on this podcast. If my brother gets accepted to go international as a student for 4 months, want to come live in Toronto for 4 months and find an excuse to open a TJ's Pizza while I'm looking for a roommate to come for 4 months?
Well, I mean, the 4 month time frame seems less than ideal for the opening of a TJ's and or keeping a job here. Yeah. But I mean, maybe we'll see how things go.
That wasn't a no, which is great because that proposal was absurd. But please continue.
But so, I was looking up vacation packages on my phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a good deal, I think. And so then I showed my phone to my girlfriend, and she's like, oh, your phone is slow. I'm like, you're right. And so I grabbed it off the table and I just threw it behind me.
First off, that's a fantastic bit. Second off, so a while back, I told you a story where my 5-year-old phone was like paid off on its plan, and it was slow and had no charge, and I couldn't use a charging cord. I had to use a contactless charger because the charging cord was broke, and it fell out of my pocket at a Tim's. And part of me was sad because my phone cracked, and the other part was like, oh no, I guess I need to get a new phone. This is the worst, and my new phone is amazing.
Well, I mean, I haven't got a new phone yet because I'm not due for an upgrade for another month or so. But my girlfriend did have a spare phone, and she couldn't stand to look at my cracked screen. So I have a Samsung Galaxy A71.
Wait. So you casually threw a phone behind you as a bit, and it actually cracked the screen?
Oh, yeah, it smashed the screen.
She put a case on that for you. Yeah,
she did, and somehow the case didn't protect it.
I assume the case also came in a 10-pack from Costco. I still
makes sense, but
I'm still ride or die for Costco for the record, even if it is a terrible phone. You did get exactly what you paid for.
I did get exactly what I paid for.
Your problem is he tries to use it
So,
for anything other than texting.
but so then the phone still worked. Like the storm still does work. Just screen's just so smashed, and my girlfriend doesn't like looking at it. So, and honestly, I don't really like looking at smashed screens either. So,
Yeah, don't smash the screen. You had sympathy on phones 1 and 2 breaking, but phone 3.
Number 3.
I said you would have went through only have 7 left in the pack before you got to the third story because I was that confident you broke a third one.
Okay, but on a more topical note, actually.
Oh, this is pretty great. We could talk Karl breaking phones for a solid hour.
So on a more topical note, I'm just gonna rewind a little bit. In 2019, James Cameron.
Pause.
He is
Pause. I'm gonna rewind a little bit. In 2019, yeah, we're just gonna pretend the last 3 years weren't long as shit. Okay, it's just a little bit. Nothing important happened. I didn't go back to school and write to. No, just a little while. But please continue.
James Cameron is low key becoming my favorite Hollywood celebrity, even though he's not really like that much of a celebrity. He just seems to be a genuinely talented and creative individual. Because in
Pause on that
2019,
one. To interrupt again, then, just putting this idea in your brain: a movie directed by James Cameron, starring Keanu Reeves and Jack Black. Doesn't even matter what the movie is.
I don't think so. That's a winning combination.
Like, it's one of those like weird combos where it's like you don't really put your Jack Black with your Keanu Reeves. That's like one of those weird peanut butter burger kind of combos. But it's like, no, this is like a perfect pairing. This is pineapple, banana peppers, and pepperoni. It shouldn't work, but it does. Please continue.
It does. That definitely does work. But so James Cameron, he didn't actually direct Alita: Battle Angel, but he did
make it exist.
I believe
he made it exist.
Yeah, he helped make it exist. Well, and actually, the director that directed it is actually his friend and got the project because they were friends or whatever. I forgot how much I really did enjoy that movie. It was a really good movie, but it's tragic because 2019 also happens to be when Disney finished acquiring Fox.
Yeah, and it's also when Disney released COVID.
20th Century Fox was the studio behind Alita: Battle Angel. And so then between James Cameron working on his slew of Avatar movies that are going to be coming out in the near future, or distant future, I don't know. Up till 2028, there's like 3 more that he's planning on making.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, they have to have the Journey Through the Earth Kingdom, where they meet Blue Appa, and then they have to fight the Fire Nation, where General Mitsuo redeems himself against his father, right?
Oh, wow, yeah. This, the little kid, the human guy, redeems himself against his. Yeah. Anyway. But so between the fact that James Cameron was busy with Avatar, and the fact that Disney acquired Fox, it just seemed like a sequel was very unlikely, even though it's such a good movie. But as of March of last year, I mean, there's no like concrete dates or anything, but apparently, as of March of this year, there's been confirmed that well, I guess not confirmed, but I'm very excited that they're potentially actually going to make this sequel. I mean, it'll take like 2 or 3 years for the sequel to actually be made, but I'm super excited. And the reason that I bring up Alita: Battle Angel is because our mystery topic of the day, I believe, is martial arts manga / anime.
Well, first I need to pause for like a 2-minute tangent here. So, over the course of our podcast, we're either really good at reading trends or have dark magic. And since I have no wisdom, it has to be the dark magic. Because we did an episode specifically called James Cameron, the Avatar to Titanic pipeline. And in that, you specifically requested the Alita Battle Angel to continue.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
I'm just saying, with our power to manifest things, I want to hit a best-selling New York Times chart with my own novel. I'm just going to use the power of our podcast to make this happen. Because, like, if we just are gods.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, you have to put in the work for the dark magic to work, but I wouldn't mind making a video game and then just selling it for $1, and just, a million people buy it for $1, and I'm a millionaire.
That is how Vampire Survivor worked. Not exaggerating, literally how that worked.
So the reason I bring up Alita Battle Angel is because our topic of the day is martial arts manga and anime.
So I'm going to have to start with a mini rant. So first off, for the purposes of this episode, Dragon Ball was not a martial arts manga. There was no actual martial arts choreography to be found in Dragon Ball.
What?
They went to a world martial arts tournament, which included, and feel free to call me out here if I give incorrect Dragon Ball information because it's your jam, a person doing a 100-foot diving cross chop, a purple dragon shooting tummy gum, a character whose entire power was he smell bad, a character who won that fight because his power is he has no nose, a literal person dressed as a peacock. What part of this is martial arts, Carl?
Jackie Chun?
No.
And also Goku's monkey fighting technique?
No. Dragon Ball...
And also Goku losing because his legs are shorter?
Goku losing because his legs were shorter was the closest thing in the entire tournament to being actual martial arts. I concede that point. Their final kickoff was... But I also want to explain that in this fight was the hypnosis wavy hands... Thunder Electro Glass Shock, a character turning into a giant ape because of the moon, and then the moon being blown up with an energy beam.
Okay. On the topic of whether or not things count as martial arts manga.
G-Gundam counts.
Gundam counts?
G-Gundam specifically.
Okay. Alita Battle Angel made it onto my anime list of top 15 martial arts mangas. I was like, I watched the movie. I didn't think it was martial artsy, but I rewatched the movie because I was like, it made it on their list. I got to rewatch this movie and read some of the original comic, and it is actually surprisingly intricate choreography.
Weirdly, I have it as like cyberpunk sports more than anything. Like, so when we say martial arts manga, because we group things pretty arbitrarily on our podcast on account of us having no supervisor. But when I talk martial arts anime, and part of why I include G-Gundam is, part of it is the trope synergy. So Naruto has martial arts. Bleach has a martial arts character or two. One Piece has a martial arts character or two. Martial arts are gonna work their way into anime.
Right.
But in my brain, for it to be a martial arts anime, it needs to have at least 3 homages to the Karate Kid in it. Like, for it to hit that category, like, let's take G-Gundam. G-Gundam has giant robots, so it's like, well, you're not a martial arts anime. But the main character, Domon Kashu, King of Hearts, has the dramatic poses, the complete seriousness, no matter how absurd. The spin kicking a bullet to spin kick a bullet so it cuts through a rope for a child to be dropped and caught out of the air. Each character having a fighting style that's vaguely racist. Like, if it can't be converted to a Streetfighter X 2D fighter, it's not a martial arts manga in my world. For the purposes of this episode.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I was kind of wondering about that because I think the reason people consider it to be martial arts manga is because Alita knows the cyborg martial art of Panzerkunst,
which is awesome.
And like watching the live action adaptation, there's lots of like cyborgs that just do like crazy spinny like slice kicks and like there's a scene where she cries a single tear and then cuts it in half before it hits the ground,
which is awesome.
So, I mean, it has a significant amount of the choreography and the cheesy goodness that you expect from martial arts.
All
And
right,
then
so here's my deep dive question for you.
Mhm.
You're working at the last Blockbuster Video.
Mhm.
You have one shelf labeled cyberpunk and another shelf labeled martial arts, and you're holding this VHS. What shelf are you putting it on?
it does seem more cyberpunk, but then you read the original manga, and there's like the champion of the motorball tournament. He uses chi to like disrupt people's actuators in their arms and stuff.
Like, this loops back to Naruto too, where it's like, it's close. Like, I'm putting it right between those shelves, but it's still going on the cyberpunk side for me.
Okay,
Now,
so how would you categorize Naruto? Because that also made it on some people's top list of martial arts mangas. Although I'm assuming they're only talking about the first half, because Shippuden is just wizards.
so it's definitely going in adventure fantasy in the second half. Shippuden's definitely wizards. Like, it's not going into ninjas. No one ninja'd anyone.
No.
It is going like adventure or high fantasy. There's straight up using magic. There's gods, reincarnations. Maybe I might sneak it like between like action adventure or adventure fantasy and put it right next to sci-fi because there's aliens.
Mm.
But it ain't going no martial arts movie.
Well, yeah, but
it's
I mean,
going on
like,
the same. What basically, if you have the action, if you have like the shonen category, as it were, just straight up a shonen category, you could fill that category, and Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach are all going there.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
But like, let's do the Netflix trio of what I would consider martial arts, even if they're not, because of like weirdly the motif of them. So first up, Kengan Ashura. That is martial arts. It's stupid. It's so stupid. It's so beautifully stupid.
Well, I mean, that also made it on quite a few top 10 lists.
But it has the feel. I need to become stronger because I believe in fighting and I love fighting and my sensei was killed. And then there's people of weird martial arts styles around the world like Gun Kempo and Old Man of the Sea. But this is the Muay King to his Muay triple combo. Nah, it has the vibe, the energy. That one you can't put in any other category. It has to go in martial arts.
Yeah, okay.
Then you go to Baki. It has to go in martial arts. It's stupid. It's somehow stupider than Kengan Ashura. But it has to go there. When you have the Grand Ritai tournament of super martial artists, it just kind of has to. Sure, at some point, he straight up fights Muhammad Ali Jr., but yes, Baki interacts with the majority of the cast of Street Fighter 2. When you think martial arts anime, does Baki fight the entire cast of Street Fighter 2? Yeah. You get to Record of Ragnarok? Nah, that's a little less punchy. There's some swords going on and some hammers and things. That one doesn't get martial arts. Even if it is
weapons don't really count towards martial arts for you?
When Jack the Ripper throws a clock face at you, you kind of tipped a little bit into the Fate Stay Night territory.
Yeah. Fate Stay Night, also not really martial arts. But on that topic, like, I know it's not an anime or manga, but I mean, like, Keanu Reeves is a master of gun fu.
So first off, Keanu Reeves is... At one point, there was 2 live-action things I want to talk about this episode. The first is, well, I guess 3. First is Ip Man, the most martial arts movie to ever martial arts.
all the Ip Man movies are just amazing.
Yep. But remember, they're fantasy, not history. Keep that in mind, because the character is different from the person, as we learned and got deeply upset about. Then next I was going to talk The Karate Kid, because that's the atypical martial arts movie, like it's what people imagine.
Right.
And then Cobra Kai, the weirdly good sequel to Karate Kid, which would be amazing animated. And then just Keanu Reeves, full stop. But Matrix, not a martial arts movie. It's a movie that has martial arts. John Wick, though? John Wick, you could make a Street Fighter entirely with John Wick characters. There'd be guns in it. But we definitely have characters pulling out ridiculous belt sword type things. We have like people around the world with their special assassination fighting styles. We have a super move where he assembles a gun to fire 1 bullet. Like, that'd be an amazing fighting game. It'd have more guns than I'm used to. And if you had to put it between shooter and fighter, it'd probably be closer to shooter. But I could see the argument. In fact, all that was missing in John Wick to put it straight into the breaker territory was him catching the bullets and then people giving up on bullets altogether. Which is usually how most of the final fights ended up in that, is somehow the guns got tossed away for every one of his final fights. Because it's like, I guess guns just aren't good enough. I better use jujitsu. Is that, it happened in all of them.
Speaking of The Breaker, that one is apparently number 1 on my anime top 10 list. My anime top 15?
I have such a complex relationship with The Breaker. So, The Breaker we're going to actually have to explain. That was one of like the 3 episodes that go in this episode description, because I knew we'd get there. So, I'm going to start with some weird clarification. The Breaker 1 had a weak start and my favorite sequence of events in anime. The Breaker 2 was the Empire Strikes Back of The Breaker, except it never made it to Return of the Jedi. So,
yeah, because they took a break to write other stuff, and I don't think they're ever actually going to finish their manhwa, which is the Korean version of manga.
I mean, I'm not even going to make that distinction. It was a martial arts anime and manga through and through. It did not even pretend to hide that back.
It did not.
So The Breaker starts like, instead of hard work, effort, and training, let's use drugs. And I'm like, oh, boo. Later, All Might came out with Deku, and I'm like, still boo. So I boo the premise of ordinary person eats drug, gets superpower, learns superpower. However, we get to the Battle Tower, which is just amazing. Just the Battle Tower. Everything about the Battle Tower. And as much as I roll my eyes at numbered villains in a tower, the Battle Tower. That had some truly good moments. But I'll let you actually catch your audience up to speed on what The Breaker is before we just talk about random scenes out of context.
Well, okay. So the Breaker, we have our main character, Shiun. I apologize if I messed that up. It is, like I said, it's Korean. But Shiun is a normal guy.
I really wish I could do the Deadpool freeze frames where like we stop, because I really need the text bubble. It's like Korean for a bubble to pop up that's like, because his Japanese is much better. Smiley face Carl. But please continue.
I've read a few memoirs that I really enjoyed, actually, but that's not really the point of this episode.
Might be worth this episode at some point.
The point of this, what I'm saying here, is that there's a substitute teacher at Shiun's school, and Shiun finds out that the substitute teacher is a badass martial artist.
Note, this badass martial artist is not lawful good aligned. He is absolutely, and this is established as early as chapter 1, is lawful evil aligned or chaotic evil aligned. This is not a good person.
Well, yeah, because Shiun has absolutely zero talent for martial arts. So he just gives him, the Nine-Armed Dragon just gives him super drugs that basically open all of his blood vessels and let his chi flow through better, and then he can learn to do meditation martial arts. And
although, to give a little clarification for that, because the opening events of The Breaker are great. So you get to the start of, because I'm going to compare this a lot to My Hero, because it's so much better at being My Hero than My Hero is at being My Hero.
Yeah, okay.
So we have super martial artist hiding out as a substitute teacher after straight up like murdering the Martial Arts Alliance and being like the villain of a martial arts movie. Like,
yeah, just a quick little stop here. His only crime with the Martial Arts Alliance is that he won too many tournaments.
And killed 10 people!
Well, yeah, they're like, you won too many tournaments, we gotta kill you. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna kill you guys instead, because I'm a badass.
And then did. However, he went to the Olympics, took home every gold medal, flipped them off, got jumped, murdered a bunch of dudes, and then went into hiding in a school.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
His backstory is very similar to Akuma or Baki's dad. So, as much as I'm hoping we get some Nine Arts Dragons truthers in the comments, so the main setup is this kid, Nine Arts Dragon, has no intention of helping this kid whatsoever. Why would he? So he tells this kid with like a heart condition, go run laps. Yeah, you'll figure out super martial arts, run laps. And then his ninja love interest friend's like, yeah, so I gave him the super drug. He's like, why would you do this? It's like, oh, I thought it'd be fun. No! So now Nine Arts Dragon has to trade this kid because he just got fed the purest magical cocaine on the planet. And if he doesn't make this kid useful, that is just a waste of magic cocaine.
Well, and then also the master cocaine would make him explode if he didn't channel his chi properly.
But at this point, I was pretty sure Nine Arts Dragon was just trying to avoid the sub-cost fallacy of, well, this kid can blackmail me. Also, maybe he'll be useful. Also, my girlfriend made me do it. So we get to the end of the Breaker Part 1 where I'm still a little annoyed that they're enjoy superpower.exe. And they're well, now that we've explained the plot, no more superpower for you, kid. And they just punch him in the superpower.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert, two of the greatest scenes, in my opinion, in any martial arts series.
Mm-hmm.
First,
the cast
early on in the series, it's got to be at least 100 chapters where Nine Arts Dragon is in a cast because he got into a fight off screen.
No, the fight was on screen that got him the cast, wasn't it?
Well,
I'm pretty sure a building got jumped on him and a guy used his iron fist to blow up a building and then hold Nine Arts Dragon's arm down so a building fell on it.
Well, yeah, and then he stomped the guy's arm off and ran away.
Yeah.
But so in the
our
background,
protagonist,
basically,
folks.
His arm's in a cast for 100 chapters, and then he just punches someone in the face with his cast arm and shatters the cast. And it was just I don't know if that's a trope, if that's I know it's been done in other media, but
it's so good,
so good.
Caught me off guard, so good.
The other thing that caught us both off guard was when they shot his girlfriend with a sniper rifle.
It's you can't bring guns to a martial art fight. What is this bullshit? How dare the FBI just shoot her, which is the sensible thing for them to do.
We're literally on another building with a sniper rifle, and they're yeah, we need to get Nine Arts under control, so we're just gonna kill his girlfriend.
I mean, to be fair,
go ahead.
To be fair, Nine Arts Dragon later kicks escalator stairs at someone, so it's not like it wasn't justified that this is a thing that needs to be kept under control.
Because Nine Arts Dragon is just insane.
Because, like I said, his alignment is chaotic neutral at best, and then after his girlfriend gets sniped, and then he kicks his pupil out of super martial arts school by punching him, he goes straight chaotic evil. There might have been brainwashing involved, but I don't think it was needed at that point.
No, he brainwashed himself to forget about Shiun because he was I don't want to have to deal with this guy anymore. If he shows up, I'll just not remember him.
Although I will say though, the Breaker Part 2 is you can't know martial arts because your martial arts is destroyed. He's well, I'm just gonna do it anyway, and it's it was the reverse of a character getting a power up, where it's Goku lost his power to use ki, so what'd Goku do? Learned how to brawl. You're that's not where I thought this was going. This is great. Eating popcorn.
Oh yeah, when he punched the guy with gravity powers in the face,
yes,
the gravity power made his punch hurt more.
Because it's it's you just made yourself weigh 500 pounds. You put all that pressure on my fist into your face. Good day, sir. And then the doctor's it looks like you dislocated your shoulder and your entire arm because you put 500 pounds directly on your fist. You should see the other guy. When did you get cool? And then by the end of it, they're well, now that you ended our civil war, these doctors we mentioned in chapter 1 could probably fix you but wouldn't. Well, now fix you. Congrats. Show over. I'm how dare you? You put Han Solo in carbonite, had Luke get his lightsaber, and never sequeled it. Fine. It's fine. I'm okay. It's fine.
We definitely need to will that into existence.
I think that's what this episode is going to do. I want it to become a bestseller, but I think the energy is getting sent to the breaker. We'd have to do an episode on my book to generate enough fandom to apparate things.
That's probably how this works.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those, human instrumentality things where we get, enough brainwaves together and we just will things into existence. So, as for things I wish I could will into existence, oh man, do I wish I could fix Kenichi. So Kenichi's the Karate Kid, but better. Except, it turns out teenager me didn't notice the rampant sexism in it.
Rampant sexism?
Oh, in Kenichi, it's bad.
Because of all the women getting their clothes blown off? Well, or just sexism in general?
A little of both. So there's fairy tale sexism where everyone's outfit just explodes for no reason.
Right, but that's actually kind of gender equality, because everyone's outfit explodes for no reason.
Well, in fairy tale. In Kenichi, less so.
Mhm.
But also, they put in a strong, competent female fighter, put in a nonsensical leotard, made her proportions physically impossible, and made her goal want to be a housewife.
Huh.
And it's like, so you have a female character who's superior to the male character, and you've taken away all her agency. She keeps being a damsel in distress because it would look bad to not just solve her problem. She's like the least damselable character in fiction that manages on no fewer than 3 times to be damseled in distressed.
Yeah, I mean, History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi does put the main female lead in distress, even though she is just actually stronger than
Like,
the
could
male
you
lead.
imagine if Lois Lane had to keep rescuing Clark Kent because Clark Kent didn't want to look too masculine? That is what happened! A lot!
Yeah, that is what happened a lot.
And it's a problem because I can't recommend History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi to like 80% of people because of how they decide to portray this one character who's the co-star.
Yeah, she does get a lot of screen time.
And it's like kind of a shame because like the like 5 or 6 female characters they put in, like Kenichi, martial arts anime. It's literally the cast of Streetfighter, but what if they decide to do a rom-com? It's amazing. Because it's like, we got the actual, like, this is legit Ryu from Streetfighter after he won the tournament, punching sharks, wearing a loincloth, raising a kid as a disciple for kicks. And that's the joke in Kenichi, is they have 5 of the Streetfighter characters living in a bungalow with no money because it turns out being a Streetfighter character means you live on the streets. You're literally a murder hobo. Making petty bets on keep training this kid to be a badass because he sucks so bad that to them it's a challenge. They're basically playing Monster Rancher with this kid's life, and I love it. Because Kenichi's just a Karate Kid elevated to its final evolution of what if 5 Master Miyagis had a bet running of whether they can make this kid useful. And also contains just some of my favorite moments in martial arts anime. Because one thing it did really well, which is so hard to do because you need like 600 chapters to do it, is a believable power creep from bullied nerd to Ryu from Street Fighter.
It definitely was a very believable power curve. Like, he put in so much effort, and like every time it was like, yeah, okay, now you've mastered that training technique. Let's master this training technique. And they actually go through all of his training and the ways that they all work together to ultimately he becomes a master. Although most of his mastery happens in the time skip where you only see his hand.
Yeah, but also there's parts of it too, like, other than the pacing where you actually like see that he's putting in the work and the work gets screen time, because like, let's put our comedy bit, but he's always doing push-ups. With like the reasonable power creep and personality creep and growth over tons of time. But like, he also got a fair amount of like legitimate character development too. So I'm like, that's
true.
And it's like, okay, nothing he learns is useless. You watch it grow. The techniques actually have names. And when we get to the part where he's firing an energy blast at the end, you're like, you know, he's pretty much should be able to Hadouken now. But also, in counterpoint, the Elder punches a nuclear missile to death, and that was great.
The Elder should have died.
It would have been a thematic, beautiful, poetic ending. I still think he should have beat up the missile. But, like, he should have also... I love the idea that this man... It took a nuclear warhead to take him down. Would have been amazing. And unlike Hunter x Hunter, spoilers, it wouldn't have felt anticlimactic.
Okay, Hunter x Hunter is not martial arts, though, is it?
The moment they introduced Nen, it lost its chance.
It
might have got away with it in the fight tower.
Yeah, okay.
But the moment they introduced Nen, it became supernatural.
Well, okay, but like Chi is a central part to a lot of martial arts type
so here's
shows.
The exact line I draw. Do you have to make a punchy motion to use your Chi? Is it an extension of a punch or kick or palm strike or something? Because the moment your Chi has mechanics, it stops being martial arts in my mind. So even like Gon doing the rock, paper, scissors, rock punch still arguably martial arts anime in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Kurapeka making a chain that you wrap around the heart to make a contract with, that if you can only use the chain against certain people to strengthen the chain. That's not martial arts. You're not using your body to cause the effect. It's basically the D&D...
Well, let's bring this back full circle.
Nice.
In the one chapter of Alita Battle Angel, she challenges the champion of Motorball to an arm wrestling contest, and she pulls her heart out of her chest. She's like, "Yeah, if I lose, you can destroy my heart and I'll die. If I win, then you'll fight me in Motorball." I forget exactly what she wanted when she won, but
something reasons. Something.
And they have their hands in the arm wrestling position, and she almost wins, but he puts chi into her arm, and it blows out the actuators in her robotic arm. Is that still an acceptable level of martial arts, or because
see, that's hard to cross
the kind of technique that one of the 5 masters in History's Strongest Disciple could do?
So when we start looking at some of these martial arts examples, I think it's whether it's the exception or the norm for making this difference. So in Naruto, it's the norm to shoot a fireball.
Mm-hmm.
But around Shippuden, is there part 1 Naruto, you can almost argue there's some martial arts going on. Part 2, someone has homing orbs and is standing on a disc of dark magic.
Right.
So we look at the Breaker. There's a character in the Breaker whose ability was literally they heated up their body so intense it made fire, and then they scorched you to death.
Right.
That feels like action-adventure, wizardy, sci-fi anime. That feels like it sits next to just that specific ability alone. Makes sense on the shelf next to Fairy Tail.
Right.
What makes it martial arts is do the majority punch and kick. Is the special attack an exception? So in Dragon Ball, let's make the argument that Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball was martial arts. You can make the argument that Krillin versus Roshi was a martial arts fight because the majority was punch, kicks, teleports. Right. In Dragon Ball Z, they start literally firing lasers at people and turning people to chocolate bars and making lightning firestorms. You're like, the actual choreography means nothing.
Right.
There's no longer you're moving your body to cause this effect. Which causes an ironic thing where the coolest moment in Dragon Ball Super is where he uses his Kamehameha to grind pull up a shot to shoot somebody, which is actually nice. You got some choreography. Or this is Ultra Instinct. My body reacts on its own with martial arts. Ooh, I love that. Actually, I just turned Golder and Super because I broke through my inner potential, and now I have black lightning around me. I'm like, yeah, you lost me again. So, let's take Street Fighter. Classic example. Each character has about 2 projectile attacks. But we're not calling it a platform fighter. We're not grouping it like Smash Bros. Because the majority is punch, kicks, and grapples.
Right.
So, when I was working on making a Kenichi / the Breaker tabletop RPG, for example, your stats would be grapple, mobility, strike, range, and technique, right? Your stats wouldn't be magic and wisdom because your actually core mechanic is moving your body and hitting, and it's a special attack to fire some sort of projectile. Yoga, fire, and teleport work their way into martial arts if the majority of the moves are still punches, kicks, and weird belly rubs. Bullet Kempo is completely martial arts feeling. So if someone in Kengan Ashura, which is objectively a martial arts anime, it's literally about companies sponsoring hyper martial artists. A character pulled their bones out, called them extendable swords because they're a doctor, and then hit them with a nerve toxin. That's not a martial arts move. But the fight before where the Muay Thai guy fought the small grappler kid, that was. So if it's the exception, not the norm, you stay in that category, at least for my mental math. Because in Kenichi, the Elder blows up a tank with a Kamehameha. That just happens.
Right.
But most of it is there's also a fight he wins because he learned how to low kick against a dude that punches really well but has a pinched nerve in his arm. That's legit. That feels okay, the punching and kicking and throwing are what make this, and occasionally someone uses the shockwave of forgetfulness. Which, for the record, the bit in Kenichi, where he tells a full-length story about the Shockwave of Forgetfulness, so he can then Shockwaves of Forgetfulness him, is amazing.
Yeah, History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi does sometimes have questionable portrayal of its female lead, but is a fairly well-written and interesting show.
Well, that's the thing, is I had to give that disclaimer. And I can be the, like, oh yeah, it was a Show and Jump series in the 2000s, and a lot of them were pulling this crap, and it was particularly bad. But that's partly because I would love the studio that did the Castlevania anime to buy it, make it, like, I don't know, like 30% smaller boobs, because there's no reason a professional trained gymnast martial artist would have a rack the size of their head, because they wouldn't be able to build up enough fat to do that, because they exercise every day.
Right.
Anyway, like, they'd probably... Literally, it would have been canonically logical for Mew to get breast reduction surgery at that point. Like, it would have been a strategic move. Anywho, if Kenichi was done with a less, well, quite frankly, perverted art style, and maybe, like, add a few more female characters in so it's not 1 to 20-ish, and maybe let a female character finish a fight without talking about a male character so they can pass the Bechdel test, it'd be a great series to reboot.
It would be a great series to reboot.
I would just pick like 10 of the like 9 Fist whatever, like the 2 women on it. Just pick like 3 other ones and just flip their gender with no explanation. I think it'd fix the show.
Yeah, probably.
Just make Siegfried and Hermit female. Boom, fixed it. Wouldn't change a single line of dialogue. Also, Siegfried is perfect. 10 out of 10.
Siegfried is perfect.
One of my favorite moments in anime, not just in martial arts anime, not just in TV, like in anime as a whole, is when Siegfried is singing the background music while fighting. That is the best meta joke. Like, I really love the joke in Bleach, spoilers, when Ichigo's theme music gets slapped out of him. But it's still not as good as Siegfried la-lawing to the background music as the protagonist is deeply confused.
On that note, maybe we should move on to our random question of the day.
I mean, I'll have one little follow-up question for you first before we move on. What are your top 3 martial arts anime or manga?
Well, see, that's okay. I really did enjoy Tough, which is a very Baki-esque story. I don't know which one came out first, Tough or Baki, but I really enjoyed the scene in Tough where the main character is training, and he actually manages to punch faster than his reflection. Just because it's like, but punching faster than light. Okay,
it's kind of funny.
A completely serious series, but he's just like, there's like, yeah, he's just practicing against his reflection, then he out punches it.
I find it super funny that it didn't make it into our episode for something that makes your top 3 list. That's amusing to me, but fair. So, I'm going to out myself as being not highbrow here. In third place, because I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, is actually Kengan Ashura, the dumb CGI Netflix anime. Because it lies with such confidence. Where a character's literally, he has super balance because he's on boats and you kicked him in the head, which made him feel at sea, so he reached peak form. That's beautiful. That's just, French kiss. Like, I love that. Chef's kiss. You know, French kiss? Maybe.
Okay, so, would you consider Samurai Champloo a martial arts anime?
Oddly, yes. I'm going to allow that, because it's completely on the technical of sword fighting.
Because I really, really did enjoy Samurai Champloo. Because mostly actually for that choreography. Like, the one guy is just super technical and specific with his skill, and the other guy is just like a random wild card that blocks swords with his sandals.
I mean, part of why I'm allowing this, because yes, at no point does it feel like it would fit on another shelf. Unless you, like, specifically had, like, historical fiction.
Yeah.
It fits. It's nice. It's technical. I can approve this message. For my number 2, I'm going to still go with Kenichi. As much as I'm like, I need to rewrite this to be less problematic. Kenichi was great. It made me laugh. It made me cry. They sure had some weird missteps, like having the evil opposite Kenichi go through a beautiful plot line and just get shot for some reason, and then they had to use like a lesser villain to wrap up the series because they wasted their good one. But Kenichi did the thing that only long-running shonen things can do, is it ran long enough to have a natural power curve, which is nearly impossible with an episode count.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that brings you to your number one.
Well, I mean, you said that Dragon Ball is not a martial arts anime, but like...
But you're still going to give it to Dragon Ball? I can't fight you on your favorite martial arts anime being Dragon Ball.
Well, it's just like there's several martial arts tournaments. There's a ton of martial arts techniques.
I'm more willing to give it to Dragon Ball, but I cannot in good conscience give it to Z or GT or Super.
Z, GT, and Super, they are not martial arts shows. That is for sure. But the focus on martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, and then also like the tournaments and like it's just
also the theme song is Dragon Ball, the ultimate battle, the martial arts fight between evil and good. I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. If you let me get away with G Gundam. Well, I want to say G Gundam, but that's going to go in another episode. Because as much as I claim it had the fight spirit, it literally had master and disciple fight a martial arts fight on a hill while the sunset happened, had a person ride a horse in a Gundam into battle. I still can't call it martial art. I'm still going to give it to the Breaker. There's a reason we harped on that for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. We definitely both super enjoyed that one.
It was like a sleeper hit too, because it was like random drought, not a ton of interesting things. Like, what is this? It sneaks its way out because we totally legally read it. And it was just like, oh, what? This is fresh. And that was the thing about the Breaker, is it was fresh. It was the opposite Kenichi. It was, if Kenichi is One Piece, the Breaker was Naruto. Which is ironic because of how non-fresh Naruto came, but, I'll allow it. Also, shout out to Fist of the North Star, which has not aged well enough for any human being to actually watch. But,
but it's a great drinking game.
Yes! Yes, it is! Please explain the rules as I pull up a random question.
Well, anytime he says his girlfriend's name, and anytime he says, you don't know it, but you're already dead.
Well, you don't know but you're already dead, you have to finish the drink. Because you're already dead. Like, that just makes sense. Isn't that thing like 200 episodes long, too?
Yeah, I mean, he mentions his girlfriend like 3 times an episode.
And the thing about it is it's pure martial arts. Like, I feel like, I just compared the Breaker to Kenichi being opposite sides of that spectrum. Fist of the North Star was the opposite to Dragon Ball, which means how doofy Dragon Ball was is how serious Fist of the North Star tried to make itself.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's our random question. Oh, damn. Sometimes we get random questions where I'm like, what did I do to encourage this? And then I remember who I am and what I do. All
right.
Here we go. Between truth and happiness, which is more important?
Ooh.
Like, what?
Wow.
Is this like a riddle to get a treasure from a gold dragon? Oh, for me, happiness. Oh, man. So truth is so subjective and bullshit. Like, here's a random rant that'll get us canceled I'm going to give with like 2 minutes left of the episode. Canada per capita is one of the most carbon-producing nations of the planet.
Okay.
Canada by square foot is the least carbon-producing nation by a wide margin because we contain 30% of the world's trees.
Right.
Which means if every single Canadian cut our carbon score in half, it would do less than if Vegas did. So there's no reason with our population size versus the amount of carbon offsets we put off, if we count the concept of carbon offsetting of you can pay to offset your carbon by natural greenery. If you look at Canada from an offset point of view, there's no reason we should care.
Right.
But it's because we judge it by capita, but not by square footage. So,
well, yeah. So I get what you're saying. Where you can definitely mold statistics to say whatever truth you want to.
Like I might have just did it right now.
Display.
So, if we go like you're all going to die in 7 days because global warming, versus just live a healthy, good life, and if it feels wrong, don't do it. I choose happiness. Like, I'd rather someone not litter because of a lie or a truth if it makes them happy not to do it because they don't like walking through garbage. So I find trying to use truth is actually less effective than using innate happiness. Because truth is subjective, happiness is not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on the same line. Like the phrase "ignorance is bliss." I mean, it's a phrase for a reason. The more you know, and about how dark and twisted the world can actually be, the harder it is to be happy. And so it's kind of like you have to draw a line about how much truth you want to know about what goes on in the world, I guess. But at the same time, if you just live an ignorant life, then terrible things could happen, and maybe, who knows, maybe it'll happen to you, but hopefully you'll have been happy until you got there.
Plus, I have to give a disclaimer. As a writer, people always say the phrase honest feedback before not giving you actionable feedback, and instead just being like, honest feedback? I'd say it was about as good as the Bount arc of Bleach. Like, oh, why? What did I do? And they're like, honestly, I think it's riddled in errors. And I'm like, you read Twilight. They start 13% of their sentences with "and." You don't get to come at me about grammar. You liked Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Your write or die for that. Don't give me this nonsense. So, yeah, people love to use truth as a way to justify cruelty. I think the best use of truth is when you use truth to either make someone happy now or help them to be happy later. Like, I'm like, hey, Carl, honest truth, your life's garbage. That's not helping you. I'm like, hey, Carl, honest truth, I think if you save up for a pizzeria, that could be a pretty solid retirement. That's helpful. I put the save up, but at the very least, like, there's happiness involved. Telling someone the truth so they're not happy isn't exactly a great strategy.
Well, I mean, unless you're opposite to us and you do prefer truth over happiness.
Which is usually how you end up, A, being woefully incorrect. Because if you're just going truth based on what your phaneron of senses is truth, and don't have, like, any emotional balance to that, you end up with, well, the truth is, we're all made up of molecules, and quite frankly, the most effective strategy to offset carbon is to kill each other. Because then we use up less carbon. I've murdered 10 people. Therefore, I've reduced 9 people's carbon emissions. Therefore, I saved the planet. No. You need some happiness involved. Like, did no one watch Full Metal Alchemist? Truth wins if you don't choose happiness. That was the point.
Well, with that, I think we're ready to wrap up, Neil. We already did some pretty shameless shilling for your products, and with that excellent product placement at the start.
Oh, yeah. So I think we're going to wrap up here. Everyone, keep listening. Be happy. Also, this is not us endorsing lying. And done recording, literally on the line. This is not us endorsing lying. But now that we've done recording, I could have shoved this in the episode, but Full Metal Alchemist, martial arts anime. I know, right? Like, they don't focus or talk about it, but then every character is using actual choreographed martial arts because, they're just that good. Then might as well give different fighting styles to Jing, the country that 3 characters are from we never visit. Might as well have them have a European versus Asian correctly choreographed sword fight with the homunculus. Just cuz.
Yeah, it was pretty well choreographed.
Indeed.
How long was our